everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing another recent reads. So I've got 3 books that I want to go over that I've finished recently and really enjoyed. So the first one I'm going to go into is Pride by E.B. Zaboy. And this is a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice that is set in Brooklyn, modern day Brooklyn, New York. And I really enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. One of the reasons why I really wanted to pick this one up was because the main character, Zuri, is Haitian Dominican. And since I'm Haitian and I was born in New York, I was like, kind of piqued my interest. I have not read the original classic Pride and Prejudice, so I am not going off of any comparison to the original since I haven't read it. But I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I picked it up because the main character, her and her family, are Haitian Dominican. And one of the things I noticed reading this was that I could see the Dominican side of our culture being represented in this book, which is really cool and really interesting to read about and learn about. But I didn't see much of the Haitian side in here other than some of the food that's mentioned. But aside from some of the food, there wasn't really much of the Haitian culture presented in this one, which was a little disappointing. But I heard that E.B. Zaboy has another book called American Street that follows, that has a main character who is Haitian. And I've heard that one has more of the Haitian culture in that book. So I did get that one from the library, and I'm hoping to get to it pretty soon. But yeah, that's just one of the things I wish was in here a little bit more. I will say I loved all of the characters in this book. I loved Zuri. I loved her whole family. They are super funny. Even her mom, there's this scene where, her family goes over to the Darcy's house for dinner, and the way her mom just comes in and introduces herself and starts interacting, I'm just like, she's hilarious, and I love her. I love everyone in Zuri's family. I will say Zuri did annoy me sometimes. Her interaction with Darius kind of annoyed me at times, because she kept going back and forth and doing this whole, like, I hate you, I don't want to talk to you, to, okay, maybe you're not so bad, I'll give you another chance, to, no, I still hate you, back to, well, maybe I should give you another chance. And she just does this constant back and forth thing with them, and I'm just like, make up your mind already. Either you hate him or you don't. Either you're willing to give him another chance or you won't. So make up your mind, please. And I get that, the author was trying to show us, Zuri's prejudice, her prejudices against Darius. I get that, but it just really annoyed me. Although one thing I want to know is what made Darius change his mind about Zuri and her family. Because Darius had his own prejudices. In the beginning, he was kind of distant and a bit cold towards her and her family. But something changed, and I don't know when it happened or how it happened. Especially because we're seeing everything from Zuri's perspective. So this whole book is told from her perspective. So we don't really see Darius' perspective of how things are. So I want to know like what made him change his mind. You know, because there's a scene where they're in the car going home. Darius and Zuri are in the car going home, and he tells her that, you know, he was wrong. He didn't think um, her sister Janae, her sister Janae and his brother Ansley in the beginning had kind of this thing going on. They had started dating a little bit, and Darius basically says, you know, he didn't think Janae was good enough for Ansley, but he was wrong about that, and he's wrong about Zuri. And I was just like, what made him change his mind? We don't really get told what changed for him, and I wish we could have seen that. I will say this is a great book for discussions in like classroom discussions if you're a teacher, or book club discussions. I think this is a great book, just to because there's so much that it touches on. It goes into, you know, different socioeconomic classes, gentrification, um, even what it means to be black enough. You know, what exactly does that mean, right? Because Darius doesn't act a certain way, or because of how he is, he's not always seen as being black enough. And so I think that's also, uh, you know, I like that it touched on that, because I think that's also a good discussion point to bring up. The other thing I'll say about this book is I really enjoyed the poetry in here. I love the poems that Zuri has in here. And it really made me want to get back into writing some poetry. I used to write a lot of poetry in middle school and high school, but I haven't written any since high school. So it just, reading that, I was like, I kind of want to get back into it. I will say this is a really short, quick read. I think it's like, I don't know, a little over 200 pages, I think. I don't remember exactly, but it's a quick read. I read it in one sitting. And you're never really bored with this one, at least I wasn't. Which is kind of surprising because I tend to not do very well with contemporary romances, and I tend to get bored with those pretty easily. But I was engaged with this from the beginning to the end. I was completely engaged and wanting more, and I think that's a testament to how great the characters are written. Because a lot of times, if I love the characters, then even if it's a genre I normally wouldn't read, or normally I'm not interested in, if I love the characters, I'm going to enjoy the book. And this is one where I loved all the characters in here. So yeah, like I said, gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. So the next book I'm going to talk about is another retelling, and that is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Khmer. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I love this book so much, you guys. This is one of my new favorites. It's one of my favorites of 2019. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So first off, let's talk about the characters. I loved Harper so much. She's so strong. She was one of my favorites. And she's just amazing. And one of the reasons I picked up this book to begin with is because our main character, Harper, has a physical disability. She has cerebral palsy. And that was something that really interested me, because you don't see many main characters with disabilities. So I really wanted to check this one out, and I'm glad I did. I love it. I love Harper. And with Harper's disability, it's not something she sees as a flaw or even a weakness. She even, takes pride in her disability. At one point, she gets asked if she would want to fix it with magic, and she's basically like, I came into this world with cerebral palsy. I'm gonna die with it. I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed and stuff. And so I really like that about her character. I also like she is quick to correct people when, because there's a couple times where she'll meet someone new and they'll think that she's injured. She hurt her leg somehow or she's injured. She's quick to let them know, like, no, it's not an injury. I have cerebral palsy. So that was something I thought was pretty cool about her character as well. This is told in dual perspective with Ren and Harper, and I loved both perspectives. I loved hearing from Ren, I loved hearing from Harper. They're both characters that I absolutely loved. So I was never bored with this. I know I've seen a couple reviews where people say the middle part is kind of slow or drags on, but I didn't feel that way at all. I loved every minute of this. Um, and I think maybe why some people say that is because the middle part, nothing big happens, but it's more focused on um, Harper and Ren's relationship and how that develops. And I liked seeing that because, like, then it helps to make the relationship feel real. So obviously, this has one of my favorite tropes in it, the hate to love trope. And I loved seeing, Ren and Harper's relationship. I love seeing her slowly start to trust him and build that relationship with him and just like, go from hating him in the beginning to becoming friends and having more of that friendship relationship. And I really liked seeing that. I liked seeing it develop. And I think that's what takes up a lot of the middle part. So if that's something that you don't care to read about, then it probably will feel slow to you. But I loved seeing that. Because, like I said, it makes it feel real and it doesn't feel like insta love. I think one of the issues with insta love is that we don't see that natural slow progression of a relationship building. It's just they meet, they fall in love, and here we are. And so this doesn't do that, and I really like that. This is the first book in a series, which I did not realize starting this off. I thought it was a standalone at first, and then I find out that it's the first book in the series, and I'm just like, what? There's gonna be more, which makes sense with the way this ends. Um, there's some things revealed at the end that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm here for this. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. I love the ending. I think this is a great first start to a new series. And the last book that I'm gonna review is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is the sixth book in the series, in the Throne of Glass series. You guys know by now, if you've been on my channel before, I love this series. It's one of my all-time favorites. So, of course, I love this one. I actually love Tower of Dawn more than I thought I would. And this was actually a reread for me. So, this was the second time I read it, but I never did an actual review the first time. So, I'm doing it now. I love this, obviously. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I didn't think I would love it as much as I did because We don't get to see Aelin or Rowan or Adian or any of the others. In this book, we are mainly following Kale and his journey to Antica to see some healers to heal him. And so we don't get to see any of the other characters. And so when I first read this, I thought, it might be okay, but I don't think I'm gonna like it that much since we don't get to see our normal group of people. But I love this. I love this one so much. So much we find out, and there's all these new characters we're introduced to that I love. Um, and I will say this time around, reading it the second time, I was more interested in Nezran and Surtek's parts than I was the first time around. And the first time when I read this, I was really focused on um, Kale and Irene, and I really liked them, and I kept wanting to read more about them, and I didn't care so much about Nezran and Surtax, and I wanted to skip over some of their parts. I didn't, but I wanted to. But then this time around, because I know what's going to happen, and I know some of the big reveals that Nezran and Surtak find out about, I was more interested in their parts this time around, and I really enjoyed it again. And there's even a couple things that I picked up this time, which I kind of missed the first time around. So I feel like whenever you do a reread, there's always some things that you may have missed the first time because, the first time you're reading it, you're so excited and maybe you're flying through it because you really want to know what's going to happen. And so maybe there's some little details that you miss. And then the second time around, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting. I missed that the first time. So that was cool to see with this one. And obviously, this also has a hate to love trope because Sarah J. Maas does that quite often. So we get a hate to love trope with Kale and Irene, which I loved. I love them together. I think they're so cute, especially their banter back and forth. I'm like, they're just so cute. So I really like seeing them and their relationship. Another thing I really liked was seeing Kale's recovery in this and seeing, him go through the healing process because it's not just physical, it's also mental and emotional. And so there's a lot that he has to go through, and he has to grieve and work through things. So I liked seeing that mental, emotional side of his recovery as well. As far as his physical recovery, I liked what they did with that. I like how Sarah wrote about this. I can't really say too much without, kind of spoiling some things. But I will say I liked how it was handled, and I think it was really well done. And I like the fact that Kale came to realize that, being in a wheelchair doesn't define him or make him any less of a man. He says that exactly to Irene at one point in this book, and I really like that he had that view of it. So like I said, I really enjoyed this. There's some new twists at the end that is going to be very important for Kingdom of Ash. So if you haven't read this yet and you're thinking about skipping it because it doesn't deal with Aelin and the others, just with Kale, do not skip it because there's still going to be some important information that we find out that will be relevant to Kingdom of Ash. So do not skip it. I cannot wait to see how it all ends. I will be vlogging my reading experience with Kingdom of Ash So be on the lookout for that. So that's it for this video, you guys. Those are the books I've recently read. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts on them were. And I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.